Have you ever looked at a quiet, charming town like Tamworth in New South Wales, Australia, and wondered if its peaceful facade hides a darker underbelly? Could a town known for its rolling plains, friendly locals, and community events secretly harbor a web of serious crimes and corruption? Today we delve into the shadowed truth that many prefer to ignore. This is the story you were never meant to know. Let's start with a high-profile figure, Colin Murray, the mayor of Tamworth in 2017. On the surface, a respectable public servant, working in the best interests of the people he serves. But beneath the cloak of leadership lies a tangle of criminal activities. In August of 2017, during his trip to China, Mayor Murray allegedly engaged in actions that shattered trust, intentional tortious interference, anti-competitive trade practices, and actions taken in bad faith that harmed legitimate business acquisitions. But it didn't stop there. His misconduct included the abuse of public trust, circumvention of fair trade practices, and breach of contract. All actions aimed at enhancing the personal wealth of a clandestine elite, a cartel operating right within the council. But a system like this isn't built alone. Paul Bennett's name comes next, General Manager of Tamworth's Regional Council. Bennett's role in this dark tale goes beyond mismanagement. He entered the narrative by communicating directly with business investors and strategic partners under false pretenses. Their goal: to cancel contracts awarded by public expressions of interest, and in an unspeakable act of betrayal of public trust, properties worth millions of dollars were effectively given away for free. Yes, free, not to benefit the town or its people, but to line pockets and secure illegal favors for those in power. One might ask, where is accountability in this scenario? Enter Barnaby Joyce and Kevin Anderson. These notable figures, instead of safeguarding public interests, facilitated the rise of criminals in suits and ties. They ensured public servants who aligned with integrity were silenced, either forced into complicity or punished for dissent. It's reported that public servants were coerced into approving decisions they knew were both unethical and illegal. The scale of their alleged crimes includes fraudulent management of surface water licenses, layering misinformation and disinformation to manipulate millions, over 210 million in fraud, laundered through domestic and international banks. At this point, you might wonder, where does all this money go? To staggering projects like Dungowan Dam? Unfortunately, no. Infrastructure that promised to revolutionize the water and power capacities of the region either doesn't exist or is grossly defective. Renewable energy projects, including potential 500-megawatt capacity electricity generation, were halted in their tracks, leaving communities stranded in toxic environments. What should have been a national advantage became the spoils of organized crime. But peel the layers, and you'll find a pattern beyond Tamworth. This is where things take an international spin. Allegations surface that ministers have misused domestic and foreign accounts, linking their fraudulent dealings to regions as far as the United States, China, the Philippines, and Saudi Arabia. Beyond laundering money, it's reported that public officials have indirectly financed conflicts, human trafficking, and acts that border on war crimes. And for every victim of these heinous transgressions, businesses, families, and individuals, retribution is rare, if not impossible. Think for a moment about one businessman, a global entrepreneur who came to Tamworth with hope. His story symbolizes the betrayal faced by many. Devoting his skills, resources, and time to Tamworth, he envisioned revamping blighted assets, fostering employment, and building a thriving local economy. But what greeted him was violence, betrayal, and forced exclusion. Council members, the police, and judiciary officials turned on him. The very people who called for his expertise smeared his reputation, disrupted his projects, and restricted his legal rights, all while facilitating illicit activities. This man's plight resulted in massive economic losses for Tamworth, costing potentially 27,000 new jobs and billions in regional prosperity. And if you think that's where the story ends, think again. Let's zoom in further to see how crime impacts the population at large. Local employees intimidated him at his businesses. Allegations suggest Tamworth police didn't just fail to protect. They were involved in drug trafficking operations operating within once legitimate enterprises. These are not isolated incidents. They speak to systemic failures at every level of governance in regional Australia. Look around you. Are infrastructures wearing out? Are once thriving industries leaving Australian shores? Do communities feel abandoned? This is no accident. This is the cost of a corrupt system. As tax funds are siphoned into secret accounts, resources meant to sustain the nation vanish, fueling an endless loop of poverty, unemployment, and crime. And yet, while some wear their betrayal as a badge of honor, others fight tirelessly to cover up these malignant acts. Frighteningly, dozens of other councils across Australia face similar scandals. The common thread? A justice system built as a protection racket, pushing individuals to despair while defending those in power. Corruption ratchets up legal fees, lawyers' profits, and judiciary earnings, all while human trafficking, forced labor, and drug abuse tear communities and families apart. These crimes generate fear among the population, ensuring silence. This, my friends, is how a functional democratic society collapses. And still, the question lingers. Why is this not openly acknowledged? The answer is control. Public narratives are overwritten by misinformation, burying the truth under layers of lies. Elections involve alleged fraud. Educational and public health funding remains inadequate because when humanity is stripped of knowledge and wellness, it is easier to manipulate. Blind trust in public institutions becomes the silent perpetuator of oppression. But despite the gloom, a light pierces the shadow. Brave individuals, whistleblowers, and investigators are combining efforts to uncover evidence that is irrefutable. Independent journalists, torn apart by public ridicule and threats, are documenting these injustices. They dare to ask questions no one else will, shedding light on the truth and paving the way for legal action, reform, and healing. So what can we do? The answer lies within us, the people watching and listening. We must demand change, accountability, and justice. We must fight for elected officials who value transparency and fairness. It's time we question deeply, demand proof, and never accept surface appearances. Most importantly, never forget these tales of corruption. With knowledge comes power, and with action comes change. Tamworth may be the setting, but its story mirrors issues on a national and global scale. Only by confronting truth head-on can we hope to reclaim the integrity of our systems and safeguard the values we hold dear. It begins with us. It begins now. This has been another chapter in the series Unmasking Tamworth. Shadows in the spotlight. Stay informed. Demand justice. Thank you for watching.